Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Real Steel, where we talk all things Pittsburgh Steelers, no BS, just the real steel. I'm your host, Jeff, joined as always by my co-host, Polt, in the pink room, back
Yep.
home in Pittsburgh for Christmas, for the holidays, and the Pittsburgh Steelers blessed us with a little bit of an early Christmas present here, Polt. 29-24 victory over the Detroit Lions. I don't think either one of us were fully expecting this.
No.
We thought it could happen and it was possible, but um, a crazy, crazy win for the Steelers here in Detroit, and couldn't really be happier with the outcome. Now, crazy game, which we'll get into. This is going to be a little bit of a week of Christmas holiday express episode, so we'll kind of breeze through some of the things maybe we would spend a little bit more time on. But we're recording immediate post game,
Yeah.
12 hours after. Where are you sitting right now? Because this is what we asked for, what we wanted for, the team to string together some wins against good opponents. Um, Mike Tomlin's winning record's intact yet again.
Yet
But we're
again.
9-6. We control our own destiny, and we have a pretty straightforward path to the playoffs. So what's your high-level thoughts right here?
All right. First of all, I got to ask, has your blood pressure dropped yet? Because man, did that end of that game destroy my heart rate and my blood pressure.
Yeah, it has come down, but I
Yeah.
actually did look at my heart rate during the I didn't look during the game, but I looked at it what it was
Yeah.
afterwards because man, that was a peak stress moment. Stress Jeff, as my sister would probably say. And like shout out honorable balls of steel to my wife Patty's family because we were watching the game with them and I basically made everyone stop what we were doing the last 2 minutes
That's
and I
awesome.
said we're just watching the TV and I was screaming and mother effing and there were kids around and it was wild. But yeah, blood pressure, heart rate through the roof.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I've calmed down a little too. I was going through it at the end there, watching with my family, and yeah, definitely scared my little nephew a couple times with a few yells. So that was fun. But hey, we 3 weeks ago were in shambles when we came on. I just went to the Bills game. We had just talked about Mike Tomlin being booed, Renegade getting booed, and we were probably at the biggest low we've been at as
Yeah.
Steelers fans, at least this year. And it has completely flipped on its head. We've beat three pretty good teams, especially going into Baltimore, into Detroit, and here we are sitting at 9-6. Mike Tomlin's 19th straight winning season to set the NFL record, as everybody likes to talk about. But we control our own destiny to win the NFC or AFC North. And wow, I would never have expected this 3 weeks ago. So I'm pretty much on cloud nine once again.
Yeah, so let's do a little different than what we did last time. We talked about the game, then we talked about playoffs, then we did a preview. Let's just talk about playoffs, right? Because
Yeah.
we're here. It's pretty clean cut for what the Steelers can do. There's a couple different paths. We're 9-6 right now. We have a 2-game lead on the tiebreaker with Baltimore. However, if we had the same record as Baltimore, they would own the tiebreaker over us.
Yes.
That's that there's 2 games left in the regular season. Baltimore did us a huge favor immediately after our game, and they lost to the New
Blew it.
England Patriots. Blew it. And this is everything that we wanted to happen, right? The Steelers win, the Ravens lose. So the playoff picture for the Steelers is as follows. If we win next week against the Browns,
We're
game
in.
over, we win the division, we're in. Pretty easy, pretty clean cut. Now, there's an additional layer to that, which is the Ravens play before us. They play Saturday night. And if the Ravens lose against the Packers in Green Bay, then we're also in. And it doesn't even matter what the outcome is of our game. So week 17 against the Browns, we could be resting our players. We could be resting our players week 18 as well, if that happens. And we could be in a great place to lock up that 4th seed in the AFC and
Yeah.
have a home playoff game. So really it's two things. It's one, hope and wish for a Ravens loss on Saturday night. And if they win, then we just got to take care of business on Sunday. And that's what it boils down to.
And here to add a whole nother layer so you care about all three game days this weekend. Thursday, Christmas Day, 4:30, the Detroit Lions, who we just beat, play at the Minnesota Vikings. That game is important to us as well because if the Lions lose that game, the Packers clinch a playoff spot, which is who the Ravens play on Saturday, and they don't care. So we are rooting for the Lions to win because if the Lions win, then the Packers have to try on Saturday against the Ravens and could potentially win. So there's a lot of pieces here that the Steelers
A lot of
fans are
layers.
caring for. So we are Lions fans, we're Packers fans, and then we're ultimately Steelers fans, and that's like the 1, 2, 3 this weekend.
Great call. Now let's just play worst case scenario here because it's certainly in the cards.
Yeah.
If the Packers lose
Yep.
to the Ravens, so the Ravens win on Saturday, and if the Steelers lose to the Browns, then it comes down to Week 18 against the Ravens. What's interesting about that game is none of the times or the dates for Week 18 have been solidified, right? So
Yeah.
my guess is if we clinch playoffs after next week, whether it be via the Ravens losing or the Steelers beating the Browns, we might get stuck with a Saturday game or a 1 o'clock Sunday game.
Yeah.
If things happen and Week 18 is still in play for either the winner of the Steelers or the Ravens to make the playoffs, I have probably a pretty bad feeling that you're looking at a Sunday night football game. Might be the game of the week there to get flexed into the Sunday night spot.
Yeah.
Um, let's just hope that doesn't happen. Let's take
Let's
care of
just take care of
business.
business this week. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, let's break down the game a little bit, really briefly,
Yeah.
and talk about some of our takeaways. This was a 10-10 game at the half. It felt like it was a very defensive game. It was 3-3, then it was 10-10, matched each other in scoring, and there really wasn't much excitement until the fourth quarter, and maybe to the demise of Steelers fans, not really even excitement, but I would say more action happened into the third and fourth quarter, with the bulk of the scoring happening late. So it felt like we were in it. We were playing a strong defensive game through the first half.
Hmm.
And the third quarter is really where things I felt like kind of turned for us to take some momentum. And we had the safety, we had a field goal, we even had a touchdown that put us up 22-10 at one point, 12-point lead. So that was really early in the fourth quarter where it felt quite comfortable. But things were weird in the fourth quarter, right? We got into that mode where we're up 12, 2 scores. We're playing kind of that loose prevent D. And Detroit's a good team, so they were able to put together scoring drives pretty darn quick. And we got ourselves pretty quick into the position of, all right, just don't let them get a touchdown at the end of the
Yeah.
game. And they got a touchdown, and it got called back. And then they got a touchdown, and there was a penalty. So it was weird. We can talk about the end of the game, but overall, thoughts, takeaways, what stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the first half was weird. No offense could really get going because they couldn't really do anything either, and neither could we. And I mean, at the end of the half, there we're down 10-3, and I'm just hoping let's just get points. 10-6 is fine. We get ball to start the second half. Who cares? And Kenneth Gainwell makes one of the best plays you'll see all season with that 45-yard touchdown catch that laying on the ground catches it, gets up and runs into the end zone, and that completely changed the game from there on. The Steelers dominated for the next quarter and a half. The third quarter, the Lions ran 3 plays, lost 2 yards, I think, and gave up a safety, and that's it. The rest of the quarter, we had the ball, and we scored no points. We did kick a field goal 2 seconds into the fourth quarter, but I mean, we dominated that third quarter. And then, like you mentioned, we got up by 12 two different times in the fourth quarter with 12:23 left after the Jalen Warren 45-yard run, and then it's 6:41 left after the Jalen Warren 45-yard run the second time. Which, speaking of which, all three of our touchdowns by the three running backs, or the two running backs, were all 45 yards, which is pretty funny. Such a weird stat there, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of felt like deja vu with the Dolphins. We were hanging on for dear life there at the end of the fourth quarter, and I don't give. I mean, the defense. I wish they would have stopped them and made it more comfortable. But I think the defense, even with that, played a phenomenal game, and I don't take too much away from them. But yeah, a pretty dominating third quarter once again from the Steelers, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, I loved seeing it. Offensively, Jalen Warren just went off the rails with those two big plays. 14 carries for 143 yards, 2 touchdowns. We had 230 rushing yards this game, which was pretty awesome. We haven't had a game. I don't know. Maybe you have the stats, but I don't know if we've had a 200-yard rushing game this season, or it's been a while if we have.
Well, I don't know about that, but we outrushed Detroit 230-15. So we had a 215-yard differential, which is the greatest since 2014 when we beat the Panthers and had a 222-yard differential. So we just absolutely dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball.
Yeah,
I think that was our first 200-yard rushing game this year, though.
yeah, and Rodgers 27 of 41 for 266, one touchdown. Pretty productive game from him.
Yeah.
Of course, Kenneth Gainwell, we have found to be a diamond in the rough in terms of getting the ball to him in the passing game. 5 catches for 78 yards and his touchdown based on, that one, a lot of that coming from that one play that you had said. But
Yeah.
the ball got spread around again from Rodgers. Thielen had 4 catches. DK had 4 catches as well. Darnell, Pat, um, both
Scotty
involved. Scotty
Miller.
Miller had his little drive where he got 3 catches in a row. Got a ball to Calvin early too, and had he not gone out, I think maybe we would have seen more from Calvin Austin. MVS had a target. Jonnu Smith was involved in the rushing game. So, yeah, it was, I think, a good, well called game from Arthur Smith in terms
Yeah.
of getting the ball around offensively. I felt like I really liked what I saw on that side of the ball.
Yeah, me too. And if you watched the press conferences last week, Aaron Rodgers said that he was impressed with all of the cast-offs, as he called them. He didn't include himself, but talk about Adam Thielen, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Kenneth Game. I mean, keep going on and on. Andrews Pete. There's so many of them, and they all played a big role. Thielen had 80 yards coming into the game for the season. He had 49 in this one. MVS almost had the touchdown catch. That was a beautiful throw. He got kind of pushed offline, unfortunately. But yeah, this was a total team effort on the offensive side. And there's some things that Aaron Rodgers did that won't show up on the stat sheet. Dan Orlovsky had a great breakdown of the first Jalen Warren touchdown run where he folded the safety. There was one safety back, and because Aaron Rodgers is a veteran, made DK do a little bubble screen, which folded the safety and opened up the lane for Jalen Warren. So Aaron Rodgers is in total control of this offense and this team. The last 3 starts were 3-0. He's a 71.6 completion percentage, 774 passing yards, 4 TDs, and 0 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers is playing exceptional football right now, and it's really turned our season around.
Yeah, it's so weird when I think about Aaron Rodgers, right? I'm like, I have these moments where I'm like, okay, he really does show flashes of him being an MVP quarterback, a future Hall of Fame quarterback. Then he has these games where it's like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Because it looks like we would get better production out of a third string undrafted rookie free agent coming in and playing. And he really has stepped up the last 3 games, and maybe it was a turning point, like you said. Maybe it was like, hey, we gotta, have a little bit of a wake up call here and figure out like what needs to be fixed. But this is everything we asked for as Steelers fans, right? We said, hey, the Steelers don't get hot at the end of the season and we don't string together wins. And I said this on the last episode, and I said it 2 episodes ago, and they're impressing me more and more with the ability to do that. Now, again, this is where I go back to hopes for me. I think I'm trying to be as rational as possible and not have them go through the roof. But each week they make me more and more excited to the point where I say, okay, maybe we can get in the playoffs. Maybe we can win that playoff game. Maybe we can get a little bit further. If the offense, defense, and special teams play the way that they have shown in some of these games, then it really, really is possible. And Aaron Rodgers is definitely making a difference, right? It's the veteran plays. It's the, hey, snap the ball when they have 12 men on the field, because that we're going to get either a free play out of it or we're going to get some yards. Not everyone has the ability to do that. That veteran presence really does matter. And so, I will give credit where credit's due. I mean, I think that he probably has flipped probably a couple losses into wins that we probably wouldn't have if it was Mason, if it was Justin Fields, if it was, maybe even Will Howard or someone else. So, it's just been interesting to watch. And what a funny post game interview from him afterwards. If you saw, I don't know, but he just on the field, he was just cheesing really hard, and it was good to see. So, him walking off the field with Cam and Tomlin too. This was Mike Tomlin's 200th win, by the way, which is kind of a milestone as well. Say what we want about Tomlin, but more fuel to the fire, I guess.
Yeah, I couldn't say enough good things about Rodgers. He really has come into this offense. I think him and Arthur Smith are on a really good they're really connected right now. And I don't know what it is. I think it's the veteran receivers, MVS and Thielen coming in. I think he just has more confidence in his receiving core, and it's unfortunate that Roman Wilson's the one that's suffering because of that. But, hey, if it's going to make our offense go, and I know Detroit's defense isn't that good, but 29 points or 27 points from the offense I will take any day.
For sure. So on the defensive side of the ball, this was a really, really good game. They let up 10 points through the first 3 quarters. And it felt like such a solid performance, yet you look at this, Jared Goff had 54 passing attempts, 364 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He had a really, really good game statistically. Um, we stopped the rushing game pretty significantly, 15 total yards, as you mentioned, on 12 carries. But they were really productive through the air. Jamison Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, even though he didn't do much on the ground, he had 10 total catches
Yeah.
for 66 yards and a touchdown. They got Amon-Ra St. Brown involved, really across the board. But so much of this came in the fourth quarter. So much of this was that prevent D, I guess, that we do. And I gotta say, it bothers me a little bit. I think I raised a little bit of concern during the Miami game.
Hmm.
And I think it was kind of waved off like, hey, we don't really need to worry about it. They were up 3 scores and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But they did it again here against a really, really good team. And Detroit showed that they could have came back and won that game. So I just don't really know what to do about the fourth quarter D and that prevent D. And by the way, sorry for anyone who's listening to this. I know you're panicking over there. I think you should just turn your camera off and then turn it back on. It'll probably fix it.
I don't know what's going on here, but yeah, no, it's all. It will refocus. It's all good. But I mean, you're right about the fourth quarter D. This is 2 weeks in a row that it's stressful and they can't close out a game. But they held. I mean, Amon-Ra ended up with 4 for 54, and Jamison Williams had 5 for 70. But those guys going in midway through the fourth had, I think, 30 yards each on like three or
Right.
four catches. So in
Right.
the major part of the game, we shut them down. And Jahmyr Gibbs, I mean, dude, he had 7 carries for 2 yards, and
Yeah.
and David Montgomery had 4 for 14, but he had a 17-yard run. So he lost yards on every other carry. Like he went 3 for -3, other than that 1 for 17. So I mean, the defense played phenomenal. And yeah, it's hard to the end of the game's tough to think about and sit through. But I still think the defense played awesome.
Let's go to our bold predictions from the game because I think we both hit, right? You had called something for Gibbs, or I was right on the edge. I
We're
think
giving it to you. You
I
said
think
you
it's
said score less than 24 points. They scored 24 points. Funny enough, in my score prediction, I also predicted them to score 24 points. So we did pretty good there all around. And then I predicted Jahmyr Gibbs to have under 100 rushing and receiving yards, and he ended up with 68. So both of us had some pretty bold predictions there with a really high-powered offense of Detroit, and we both hit.
I like it though because the way we've been doing bold predictions this year have been bold predictions in terms of what will lead us to a win, and
Yeah.
I think both of these were necessary components that got us there. Right? If Gibbs would have went off for more, they're likely to put more points on the board, and we scored 29. If they would have scored that touchdown at the end, it's a
Yeah.
30-29 game, and if they had got an extra point converted, whatever. They're over that 30 crest, and so that really was the magic number, was 24. So kudos to us. But yeah, I think we can get close to wrapping this up here. This was just, I would say, all around what the Steelers needed, what we needed to do as a team
Yeah.
to prove that we can compete, that we're contenders, that we can get the job done, and that hey, maybe we do want to get hot. Maybe we do want to show everybody, hey, I don't really want to go to Pittsburgh in January as the 5 seed and have to play a team that's pretty hot right now and go against Aaron Rodgers, who knows how to, manipulate my defense,
Hmm.
and go against perhaps and hopefully a healthy TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig, hey, Jack Sawyer. We have really, really good edge
Yeah.
rushers when that whole group is healthy and can be rotated. Secondary looks pretty darn good. You mentioned up until the fourth quarter being able to hold one of the leading receivers in the NFL, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think we said he was like the 5th, and Jamison Williams was the 10th in terms
Something
of
like
yards
that.
leading into this
Yeah.
week. So to hold those guys collectively to like 120 yards on 9 catches, Joey Porter Jr. is playing great. Secondary is doing well, and this is the everything we asked for, right? Our record's 9-6, so maybe that doesn't fully show it, but we're doing work right now, and we just got to hope that we can kind of continue building that momentum, and we'll see if the Ravens pull off a game on Saturday where they win, but I think regardless, I would hope that we can beat Cleveland
Yeah.
and get this all said and done. Cleveland played a pretty good game against the Bills this week, or at least played them close, 23-20. They lost by a field goal, but we'll get there in a second. I'm probably jumping a little bit ahead, but
Yeah, just real quick
anything
on the
from the
Joey
game you want
Porter.
to add?
Well, Joey Porter thing, I just want to throw out there. Among the 96 corners targeted at least 10 times, he has a 46.8 completion percentage allowed. That's fifth best. 52.3 passer rating allowed, fourth best, and the third most snaps with 0 TDs allowed of 426. We gave him a lot of crap earlier in the year, but that guy's coming out ready to play, and he has that. He has his dad's attitude in the background. So get a little scared sometimes he's going to get a taunting call. But like you mentioned, everything you said I couldn't agree more with. This game was different. We were 1-7 all time on the road in regular season games under Mike Tomlin when we were 7.5-point underdogs or more. Our only win was in 2012, and we just beat the Lions being 7.5-point underdogs. This was the game we needed to, in my opinion, show that we are real contenders or possible contenders. You could pick holes in the Ravens win. We got absolutely dominated, came out with a win with some maybe lucky play calls or lucky flags. The Dolphins game, you could say they gave up and quit. But this game, we outgained, outpossessed, and outplayed the Detroit Lions in Detroit, who's also fighting for a playoff spot, and we know how good they are. We almost put up 500 yards against them and only gave up 361. This was the game I needed, and I think a lot of people needed to show that the Steelers might be for real and maybe they aren't as big of frauds as we thought. So, yeah, absolutely awesome win. This was totally, totally necessary, and I just can't believe we're sitting here talking about it.
Great way to put it. I mean, it really was a marquee win, right? And we broke those. I think every time you come in and you hear these statistics, oh, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 22-0 on Monday Night Football at home. Oh, the Detroit Lions haven't lost back-to-back games in years. They all these weird statistics, right? But the fact of the matter here is the Lions really were undefeated after a loss for a very, very long time. This year alone, they started, I think, 4-1, and then they went win-loss, 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 win-loss. They hadn't lost a game after a loss, and they're a damn good team. I mean, with the personnel that they have, the coaching that they have, this was a home game for the Lions, and so this is great for the Steelers. Could be the real deal, the real steal, perhaps.
No BS.
Let's give our balls and our Jags. Do you have anyone that comes to mind for either? Where you want to start here?
You want me to go or you want to go? And where do you want to start, negative or positive?
Let's start negative because we
All right.
want to kind of end this on a high note.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it to another Polt special, but I mentioned it. It's our fourth quarter D.
Yeah.
I am frustrated and I'm a little bit worried because if we're not up multiple possessions and you don't have that big of a cushion, like what are you gonna do whenever you're up a field goal or you're up a touchdown or whatever? Like I'm a little bit concerned with the way that the defense plays there, and I don't know why you have to change so much because it hurts you even more. Like I'd rather play tight and perhaps let up a really, really big play than let up a 15-yard play, a 15-yard play, a 15-yard play. And by the way, let the Detroit Lions, hold on, let me find this, put together a 10-play, 74-yard drive in 3 minutes and 44 seconds, and then put together a 10-play, 68-yard drive in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And then the last drive was inside of the 2-minute warning, 10 plays, 64 yards, and could have been capped off for a 2-minute warning. So I'm giving it to the fourth quarter D because I think I know where you're going to go, and we have to talk about that player for a second. If you're not going to go there, then I'll bring it up when you're done.
I'm going to give an honorable mention to Chris Boswell. And I don't think that's what you were thinking, but
No.
I can't give him the full jag off because he made the 69-yarder with ease, and he made another one.
59-yarder.
Or 59, thank you. 59 and a 23, and he's been solid all year. But that missed field goal on our last offensive possession to put us up by 8, I mean, that almost was catastrophic and almost lost us the game. So I'm going to give him an honorable mention for that.
Sure.
My real one's going to the refs. They were so involved at the end of the game there, and also, I mean, which is fine. It worked out for us, but like, I mean, if you were a Lions fan and you were sitting there and they say it's a touchdown, and then they like kind of like, but JK, it's not. Like, I don't know. I just thought their handling of that game, how they called that a lateral and didn't call it forward progress when he caught the ball at the goal line and was pushed back 5 yards before he lateraled it. Just like they botched that whole thing. It was the correct call at the end of the game, but they botched it, and I just thought they played pretty bad or called a pretty bad game in the fourth quarter.
No, I think that's very valid, right? Because if you look at that full last drive,
The
from
Duggar DPI,
correct. So there
I
were
mean,
like 3 or 4 calls that went all in
yeah,
favor of the Lions.
yeah,
I would say maybe some were valid, but
yeah,
a lot of them were questionable, right? So it was like so many calls went in favor of the Lions, and then they had that touchdown that got called back, and so then you're like, okay. I mean,
right,
I kind of just go, they're just kind of like leveling the field a little bit and
yeah,
trying to make things even a little, and that went in favor of the Steelers. And then the very end, the very last play, absolutely that was in favor of the Steelers, but that was 100% the right call. It was
right,
how the ref handled it, right? If
yes.
you were there, that I mean, I don't know how long that actually was, but it felt like it was 5 minutes,
I think it
and
was.
that probably was an extremely agonizing 5 minutes. And there were also other times during the game too where the refs just took a really like
Yeah,
egregious amount of time to get things situated, like that Gainwell the catch,
yep,
and the touchdown that he had, that was 100% the right call, right? There
yeah,
was pass interference. He caught the ball, and so we would have declined that pass interference, and he didn't get touched and ran into the end zone for the
hmm
touchdown. It was just handled so poorly. So I really, you know me, I hate the zebras.
yeah,
I'm gonna give you all credit there because I think that's a good one, and I do think I like what you said about Boswell, for an honorable mention because he can't get it because he got the 59 yarder.
yeah,
But that was crucial, right? Because had the Lions actually gone down and score, we would have, worst case scenario was overtime, and we would have at least had the opportunity
right.
to stop a 2-point conversion as well. So that was crucial. Unfortunate that he missed. Fortunately for us, I think Boz is a great kicker, and I think he's able to get out of those situations in his head. So if he had to make another kick, I think he would have walked out and made it.
Yeah, me too.
Um, that's what's really good about him. But yeah, scary, scary moment there. The one thing we didn't mention, if Boz is your honorable mention, I got
Yeah,
to give an honorable mention to DK because I don't really know much. I haven't been on Twitter at all
there's been
because
a
this is just
lot.
the day after the game. So if you know more, chime in here. But basically, what they showed on TV was like there was a Detroit fan that was hanging over. DK was, right there, and whether he showed something or said something or whatever, it looked like DK like grabbed his hair or a wig and almost took a swing at him. So I don't really know what the scoop was there. I don't know if DK has said anything. I don't know
Yeah,
what's what, suspension, fine, what's going to happen here. But that's just not cool. We talk about how we hate when players do that, and one of our own did it, and I hate it. So
yeah. No, so there's
not
a
good.
lot of info that came out, and yeah, it's never okay to touch a fan, and it's never okay for a fan to do what they did. So here's what came out. First of all, it's rumored that this same exact fan DK told Seattle security about last year and got him kicked out of the game. So supposedly this is the same fan as he had an issue with last year. What has come out now is that, and this is from 3 different accounts I've talked about this: James Harrison, Chad Ochocinco, who supposedly talked to DK himself, and then Tom Pelissero, all have separately reported this, that DK was called a racial slur, the N-word, by
Mm.
this fan, and then he also called his mom a C-word. So definitely egged him on into that. Still not okay to grab him and throw a punch, but I'm hoping that background and that information helps it keep to a fine and doesn't go the way of a suspension. So we'll see. Lamar Jackson did something similar last year, shoved the fan, I think because of a racial slur, and he only got a fine. So let's hope that happens with DK. But yeah, really bad situation and not something we want to be talking about.
Yeah, not good either way. That super sucks.
Yeah,
So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, with a fine, with a suspension, whatever it may be.
yeah,
But yeah, just had to mention it. It's a tough spot to be in, right? As a player like that, you got to be able to keep your composure. But I'm sure it can be hard to keep your composure when things like that are thrown out there. So,
yeah.
okay, well, that pretty much ties up everything there with the game. We already talked about playoffs.
Balls of steel.
Balls of steel. That's right.
Give yours.
Wow, how did I forget? Jalen Warren,
Yep,
easy,
good one.
easy money for me. 14 carries, 143 yards, average 10 yards per
It's
carry.
crazy.
You mentioned the 45-yard run that was the long run there, 2 touchdowns. this was the game that we needed to see from Jaylen Warren. We haven't seen it in a while, just because I think maybe no reason that we haven't seen it from Jaylen Warren of his own. But Kenneth Gainwell has just been playing so well, and they've really been splitting time. So
Yeah.
this was really great to see Jaylen pop off. Utilize the holes and the opportunities that the offensive line was giving him. He ran hard, and I love that. That was what you want to see from your RB1. So kudos, Jaylen Warren, balls of steel for me.
And with Jaylen Warren, you got to give some kudos to Dylan Cook stepping in and having a great game again, and Andrews Pete and Spencer Anderson splitting the left guard position with Sam Walu out. The offensive line looked great. So, yeah, Jaylen Warren totally deserves it. I considered Scotty Miller. I thought he played a really big impact returning the two punt returns or the two punt catches and the three big catches there to get our field goal to go up by 5. But I'm going to give it to the defensive line. The fact that you give, this is one of the best rushing teams in the league, and we gave up 12 carries for 15 yards is actually kind of bonkers, to be honest with you. And we gave up 63 last week to the Dolphins. I forgot to mention Cam Hayward last week, and I feel really bad about that, so we're bringing it up now. Cam Hayward's playing awesome football right now. The last 3 weeks, he's been all over the place. He leads the league in interior defensive line snaps at 36 years old. Guys playing hard. Derek Harmon, what a pick. He came in and, again, 12 carries for 15 yards. I can't say that enough.
He had that sack right off the bat, right?
Well, Keanu Benton had the sack.
Oh, Keanu Benton had the sack,
but Derek Harmon was all over the place, and so was Benton. So I'm just going to give it all around defensive line. Played a phenomenal game. Totally dominated the line of scrimmage. Goff was under pressure the entire game, and that to me was probably the defining stat or unit in the entire game.
I love that. And just like you added on to mine, I also got to give kudos to the edge rushers too, because Alex Highsmith and Jack Sawyer had their work cut out for them with both Herbig and TJ Watt out, and they made it known. They stepped in and they made big plays. There were quite a few plays where you saw those guys coming off hot, and they stopped Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery in the backfield before they had any opportunity to get any yards after the touch. So that was after contact. So that was incredible to see those two guys really step in and play well. And man, if we have 4 players like that, that's freaking awesome. But to know that we can have 2 out and the other 2 can do a good job, that's I think a huge testament to the Steelers management there with what they're doing in the draft to build depth at that position specifically, because you look at a lot of teams in the NFL and you can say, okay, they have one person there. They have one person there. We got to stop this person, right? We have 2, we have 3, we have 4. And so all these guys have played really well throughout the season, but Sawyer and Highsmith worked their butt off this game too. So
Highsmith's been phenomenal. Good job for Sawyer too.
Totally. Okay. Preview Browns game?
Let's do it.
All right, so this is really interesting, right? I mean, the Browns are 3-12. The Steelers have a game 1:00 on Sunday in Cleveland. They're 2-6 at home. They are a crappy team. Shedeur Sanders is their starting quarterback. He right now has 1,000 passing yards on the season, 6 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. He's like the most volatile type quarterback I feel like you'll ever see. He just scampers around. I would expect this to be a game where we could have 10 sacks against him. Like it's a weird team that you have with Shedeur Sanders at the helm, but other guys who are really skilled, I feel like. Their leading receiver is coming from the tight end position at Harold Fannin. Quinshaw Judkins, I don't know if he's going to play or not, but he's done.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have a good running back core that started with him, but Dylan Sampson and a few others, they're a pretty strong running team. The fact of the matter is they're not always in a position where they're able to be running if they're playing from behind. So when I said interesting, what I mean about it is like you would think that the Steelers and other teams would be able to absolutely destroy the Cleveland Browns on paper. And certainly some teams have this year. But the way this is looking right now is we're only a 3.5 point favorite. And the Browns just lost to the Bills. I mentioned this by only a field goal. They played the Bills really well last week, and they held Josh Allen to a pretty minimally productive game. So am I 100% confident we're going to win? Absolutely not. Do I feel good? Sure, but there's always always ways that, we can find ourselves in a trap game or, not be able to come out on top. This is a game for Cleveland where they look at the Steelers and say we have a chance to spoil things, right?
Yeah.
So they don't like us, and they're going to do everything that they can. Now, Mike Tomlin plays really well against rookie quarterbacks, so hopefully that plays in our favor. But I'll leave it to you for any stats and anything you got.
Yeah, I mean, their offense is nothing to write home about. Shedeur Sanders did get hurt in the game on Sunday. He came back and played, so I think he's okay. It's a finger injury, but they're 31st in points scored, 16 a game, 30th in passing offense, and 28th in rush offense. But it was way better with Judkins, who broke his fibula and has a knee injury as well, so he's out for the year. So look, I mean, if we could stop their run, they're not going to be able to beat us through the air, you wouldn't think. So that's a key there. Defensively, this is why they're in games. Their defense is unbelievable. No matter how bad the team is, their defense is solid. They're 20th in points allowed because they're always on the field, but they're first in defense in passing yards allowed per game. They only give up 164 passing yards a game, and they're 14th in rushing yards a game, tied with us, giving up 113 a game. So we might have to beat them on the ground, but it's Aaron Rodgers versus the defense. I think that he could probably, I don't know, make an impact here and maybe beat the best pass defense in football. The big thing to look at here, in my opinion, is that Saturday night game against the Ravens. We had a lot of injuries against the Lions. We lost Brandon Echols. We lost Calvin Austin. I forget who, MVS went out at one point. We had a couple other guys get hurt. I want to see if these guys, James Pierre's still out. Like, do these guys have to play this weekend or not? Or are we able to rest people for a couple weeks? TJ Watt being another name there. So we'll see. I do think, though, Cleveland's going to try to play spoiler. They did this to us last year. Kind of similar situation. Weather's always a factor late December in Cleveland. But I don't think their offense is going to be able to do enough against our defense to be able to win this game. And another big key here is Myles Garrett is a half a sack away from tying the record and a full sack away from beating TJ Watt's record for most sacks in a single season. That is going to be my bold prediction. Myles Garrett gets 0 sacks against the Steelers. This is a big topic. He brought this up, that the Steelers won't let him get sacks against them, that they'll hold him instead of giving up sacks, and I think we do it again. Myles Garrett gets no sacks, and TJ Watt's record stands tall for at least another week.
I like it. I'll go off of you with the bold prediction, and I'm going to say we get 4 sacks ourselves.
Love that.
I think Shedeur has been sacked a lot. I don't know the numbers, but it looks like he has been sacked a lot from what he does. And I think when we have the ability to get our edge rushers and even our defensive line kind of collapse some of their opposing offensive lines, we can make a splash and we can chase guys down. So
Yeah.
I would think that this is a game where we see Cleveland's pocket kind of break down and collapse, and we really put a lot of pressure on Shedeur and make his life hell. So let's hope that Garrett doesn't get that record against us. Let's hope that he doesn't get it at all this season. But I think we're going to get the job done, and I think that we're going to have a lot of sacks, even if Baltimore wins and we're playing guys like, Jack Sawyer and this Moon guy or whatever.
Yeah.
I think we'll get the job done and still make a splash regardless.
Wouldn't it be kind of fitting that if we end up celebrating on Cleveland's field a division title while Myles Garrett's celebrating his individual record of breaking the sack record? I think that would be totally fitting for the scenario for Steelers versus for Browns. So
True,
I'm gonna.
He only cares about the single season accolades. So.
And we're going to win and we could win the division. I just think that would be pretty fitting right there. And I think it's going to happen, like you said, regardless of what Baltimore does. I think we are in it. We are trying to stay hot and get going into the playoffs. And I think the Steelers dominate 27-13 against the Browns.
Regardless of if we're resting or not.
And I
Mason Rudolph comes in and lights things up.
To be honest with you, I don't think they're going to rest. Like, maybe some of these guys that are on the edge, if like the Ravens lose, they might sit them. But I think they're going to try to win just to keep momentum, and they'll rest everybody week 18. But I don't think they want to take 2 weeks off.
Okay, cool. I like it.
Opinion.
All right, 27-13. That's a great score prediction. Let's get it done, man. We're in the driver's seat. This is a way the Steelers can lock up the division. And gosh, man, I would love to not have to hope on week 18
Me too.
And get uptight and stressed and all that stuff. So let's get the job done. Let's own it like we have the past couple of games. Hey, we didn't think we'd necessarily be in this position, and here we are now. So let's get to 10 wins this season. Heck, we have the chance to get to 11 wins, which I think is pretty crazy.
Crazy.
But the over on 8.5 hit, and it's always a good sign. I think the Steelers can and should win the division next week. Let's hope for it.
Yep, I agree.
Cool. All right. Well, with that, let's sign off here. It's our Christmas episode, week before Christmas or a few days before Christmas. So Merry Christmas to everyone. We appreciate you all listening, and we will be back after the Browns game, hopefully the last pod of 2025, and we'll take it from there. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Merry Christmas. Peace.